I want to share with you guys just something that shows you how real these disasters are. It's not just a potential loss in food. There's also people losing their jobs, and the time that it takes to rebuild these places is slow. So there was a company in Wisconsin that had to lay off 20 people because they no longer had a facility to manufacture at, and they lost over $1 million in equipment. And I think the building itself that wasn't even covered by insurance. That's $1 million that they have to come up with. Then there was another company that laid off, I think, over 200 people. Yeah, 230 people. They had to lay off their entire workforce because this happened. So now not only do you have potential food shortages, but you're also talking about people out of their jobs. Which brings me into, I think there's 5 signs that a food shortage is coming. And I think that's just important to talk about because this is just one part of it, and it makes it worse. And one of them is straight up the sanctions on Russia because of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Now, I'm not going to act like I'm some big Putin fan or something, but those sanctions have real-life impacts. And that brings us into the fertilizer shortages that we're seeing. Russia is a huge manufacturer of fertilizer, and that production now has been severely limited. And that includes production for farmers in America. And so what happens when farmers can't produce crops because they don't have fertilizers? Well, that's less supply, and the demand stays the same. So prices go up. There's been corn and soybean farmers warning us that this summer, Americans' grocery bills are going to go up by $1,000 a month. Who can afford a $1,000 increase in their grocery bills? Oh, so then if you turn away from fresh food and you go to, some more manufactured processed food, oh, well, guess what? The food processing plants are blowing up, so those prices are up too. So you're screwed. You can't eat, or maybe you can't go to work then. The third one is the price of diesel in the United States. Again, no one seems to be talking about this. The price of diesel is now over $5 a gallon. Truckers have to pay like $1,200 to fill up a tank, which is crazy. So where do you think that cost gets passed on to? It gets passed on to the consumer. It gets passed on to us. Or the truckers just choose not to drive because they can't afford to. And then there's, again, less food. Then number 4, what we just talked about, the fires at food processing plants across the country. And then number 5, this one's super bizarre to me, and local outlets are talking about this. But did you know, until we talked about this, that there was a huge outbreak of bird flu in the U.S. right now?
I actually did know that, and I'll tell you why. It's because I am a big sports fan.
Oh.
And at the Minnesota Timberwolves, I guess it was first at the play-in game and then in the first round of the playoffs, their owner apparently owns a farm or has a big stake in some sort of farm, and they had to kill, I believe it was about 5 million chickens total this guy had to kill because they had the bird flu. And so there were protesters running onto the court. One protester glued herself to the court. Another one chained herself to the basketball hoop.
These people are something.
So there's something. But, the more that I'm reading about this, I'm kind of not sympathetic to their cause, but maybe they're onto something. Maybe if they're saying that it's animal abuse to kill a chicken that it has because it has bird flu, that's just dumb. That doesn't make. Of course, you're going to kill a chicken that has the bird flu because otherwise it's going to give every chicken the bird flu. So you have to do that. But the fact that they are kind of raising the alarm that something's going on, maybe they were onto something a little bit earlier than we were. Honestly,
that's a good point. I actually hadn't heard about it until I think yesterday, and I saw some folks on Twitter talking about it. But yeah, you're right. There's millions of chickens being killed across, I think I saw it's up to almost 40 states now, so nearly every state. And that's going to raise poultry prices in the grocery store, and that's problematic. I mean, chicken is usually one of the most affordable meats you can, protein you can buy, and it's going to be more expensive now.
Yeah, so we've already seen red meat going up and other beef and bacon and all these things going up. Chicken typically has been, like you said, one of the cheaper meats that you can get, and if that starts going up too, then everything's up. I mean, how are you even going to get protein without having to shovel out huge portions of your paycheck?
Yeah, I mean, how are Americans going to eat? They can't get processed food. They can't get fresh food. Farmers can't get the fertilizer they need to make their crops. And now chickens are being killed. And also, I think humans can catch the bird flu too.
Oh, that's great. I'm sure that'll be the next thing that will happen. We'll probably need a vaccine for the bird flu.
So there'll be mandatory vaccines for the bird flu. And Dr. Fauci would be 90 years old and still on TV telling us, hey, get your bird flu vaccine. Wave 5 is coming. I can just imagine.